So you're stuck on the income roller coaster. You've plateaued in your online coaching business. We're going to fix that in this video. My name is John Whiting. I built 3 online businesses past 7 figures, sold one of them in 2019. I've helped over 1,000 online coaches just like you get to the next level, scale to 50K, 100K, 200K, 500K, and in a couple of cases over $1 million a month. And that's without making a huge overhaul to the business. And that includes some of the biggest names in the industry: Brandon Carter, Dan Henry, Ravi Abuvala, Justin Saunders, Casey Shipp, Victoria Kennedy. So I say that just to let you know that what I'm about to share with you is coming from a place of at least some experience. So you can read kind of the whole story of that experience in my 7-Figure Mind Method book. The foreword is by the man himself, Mr. Dan Henry. But I just got off a call yesterday with a new boardroom member, and he's been stuck at like between 30 and 40K a month for like 3 years. And on our onboarding process, I asked him, what is your vision for this company? And he didn't really have a very clear answer. And so it turned out when I started asking him about why he was doing what he was doing and what his vision was, he didn't really have one. And as simple as this sounds, most people overlook what I'm about to share with you, especially those who have reached the 6, even 7-figure level. This is kind of one of those things where you'll be kicking yourself as to why you're probably stuck and plateaued, and it has nothing to do with your strategy, has nothing to do with your tactics, what type of funnel you're running, has nothing to do with your offer, has nothing to do with any of that. So I'm just going to walk you through what I walked him through in the hopes that it helps you as well. So here is the timeline of your online business, right? You started at 0 right here, and you set your initial goal to, 10, 20, 30K a month, whatever that was. And then you hit that goal right about here. And now you've just kind of been coasting. Well, here's why. It's because when you first started, it was very painful down here at 0, at this pain line, right? And so then you got there, and now you got to this comfort line, right? And so what you've been doing probably, if you're on the roller coaster here, is you've been working hard enough to get above the pain line. And then you get to the comfort line, and then you just kind of start relaxing and being lazy until you hit this pain line again. And then you work really, really hard, get to your comfort zone, and that is pretty much the cycle of the income roller coaster. And this is the cycle of the emotional roller coaster as well, because at the top here of comfort, we have feel good, you got some wins, you collected some cash, things are good, and then down here, feel bad, right? And so we have a correlation between the income roller coaster and the emotional roller coaster. If this sounds familiar, I'm going to walk you through the main reason why, and it's kind of funny, but this was a huge epiphany for my new client here. So if you're following this cycle, you have been pain motivated. In other words, you've been moving away from pain. You've been away from motivated. And so what we got to do is we got to get very hyper crystal clear on the big game vision. We need a big compelling vision. We need a big compelling why, a deep why. And honestly, I even feel kind of like silly just saying that because it's so cliche that everybody thinks they have one. For example, the reason that I continue to do what I do is because I believe that I have a responsibility to fulfill kind of like a moral obligation with myself. I've educated myself, I've achieved a certain level of success, and I have had a lot of people that have helped me along the way. And if I just kind of do nothing with that and don't continue to strive towards the next level, I'm not being a good example for my clients. I'm kind of just giving a slap in the face to all of the people that have helped me along the way. It's almost like it's a selfish why for me. I know that I'll feel better if I'm constantly pushing towards the next level. And when I say pushing towards the next level, it's not like I have to force myself necessarily, but I have actively decided to create a vision so that it gives me something to do, something to work towards. And it's cool. It's fun. I get to do stuff like make videos like this and stuff. But long story short, we need to have a compelling vision that pulls us beyond this level of comfort, beyond the level of pain, and we want to become towards motivated. Because when we are towards motivated, towards a vision that's much bigger than this level, this level, this level, we will not plateau at those levels until we've fulfilled this big vision. And once we've fulfilled that vision, we have to set our sights on another vision, because things in the physically universe are either growing or dying. And if you're not growing, you're dying. And so that, by the way, is kind of the illustration of this oscillation right here is growth, death, and that is pretty much the pulse of a heartbeat, energy waves. That's pretty much how the physical universe operates. It's a frequency, right? That's all that is. And so we just want to have our frequency vibrate at a higher level, right? And so we need to set our vision to create that. And so we take our clients through a process that allows them to kind of uncover their why, their purpose. And so for you, what I would recommend is the first thing that we got to do to get off this income roller coaster is, one, define your purpose. Why do you do the things that you actually do, right? Why do you do anything that you do, right? For me, it's from a creative standpoint. I grew up as an artist, so I was kind of an award-winning colored pencil and pencil drawer guy. But I won national high school art awards and shit, despite what my handwriting probably looks like. And so I really like aesthetics. I really like creating things that look good, that flow, that just give you that feeling of satisfaction. Like when I would create a drawing in high school, I would do it until I knew, like, this is the best I got. And although I got a lot of accolades and people were like, wow, you're so good, I didn't do it for that reason. I just did it because I liked the satisfaction of looking back and going, you know what? I created that. And so the beauty of this business is I get to create stuff that I like. I get to make it look hopefully aesthetically pleasing and cool and just like, yeah, that's a good accurate representation of me and what I'm all about. I like things to be high quality. It just makes me feel better. And so a lot of it is just an artistic creation. And it just so happens this is my new medium. Business is my new medium. Like, you know, this camera and lighting, and it's visual. It's an experience, hopefully, if you're still watching anyway. And so for me, I just like to create stuff that really meets those satisfaction needs. And what's wonderful about this business is it also creates an income, a really good income. It's allowed me to make over $10 million in the last 6 years since starting my online business journey. And more importantly, what we focus on with our clients is using that and building wealth, not just, you know, having Stripe screenshots. Anyway, I like the satisfaction and fulfillment that comes from my art helps other people make money, which is really, really cool. As just an example, one of my clients, Roderick, today had a 122K day today. And so it was really cool because he started with me at the beginning of January and he had never done more than 20K in a month. Now he's consistently well over 50K a month in take home profit. And the guy only works like 10 or 15 hours a week. And that's because of the systems, tools, processes, and all that I've created because I liked the aesthetically pleasing nature of it. And that's kind of what drives me. Like, if I had all the money in the world, I would be creating something. So I might as well create something that helps you and makes money at the same time. And so I just create, right? So for you, you got to define, like, what is your purpose? And specifically, we have our clients go through as a process called the Discover Your Greatness process. And it essentially helps you uncover your values, who specifically you want to help, what you want to help them do, and why you want to help them do that thing. And so I want to help you grow your online coaching business. All right. I want to do it by creating really cool shit that pays me really well, that helps you a lot, that makes you use it and go, thanks so much. I just had a $122,000 day. That's really cool. It checks all of those boxes. And to be honest with you, I don't have a really great alternative of what else I would do. But defining your purpose is just the first part of it. Two, we got to actually set specific goals. And as silly as this sounds, like most online coaches don't have actual goals. They have what they think are goals, that they've convinced themselves are goals, but they're not actually goals. Goals are basically what is the destination that we're aiming at. If it was GPS system, as an example, in fact, this was the little whiteboard that I used on our initiation call yesterday with our new boardroom member. I said, we need to establish where are you at, what dollar amount totals. We take our clients through a process to uncover what we call their freedom number, and that is the number of liquidity, cash plus investments that you need to be able to draw down 4% of it and live your ideal lifestyle, even if your online coaching business shits the bed, right? And so we need the totals of what is that amassed amount. And most online coaches set goals on, like, I want to do 100K a month. 100K a month is just a speed at which it might make you get to your goal faster, but that depends on how efficient is your business. How much profit are you actually making out of that 100K? Because I know people that are doing $1 million a month that barely take home 50K a month or 25K a month after tax because they are very bloated and inefficient. And I don't know about you, but I got into this business to make profit and grow wealth. And so that's what we help our clients do. But in order to do that, we need to know what is that total number of wealth that we need. So for example, my freedom number is $25 million. That allows me to draw down $1 million a year to live my ideal lifestyle responsibly into perpetuity, right? That's 4% of 25 million. Our philosophy is that we want you to be able to live your ideal lifestyle and continue to increase your ideal lifestyle responsibly by saving 50% of your income and investing it so that it grows and compounds, so that you have, a good solid cushion, right? And you're working towards the actual total number so that you get to a point to where you can choose to continue to work or not to continue to work. It's your choice. You don't have to, right? So there's actually the story of the UPS driver named Richard Johnson, who never made more than like $14 an hour and retired with $76 million because he spent less than he earned and he invested the difference in UPS stock. And he did that for like 40 years and it all compounded to like $76 million. So the truth is, you don't need to make that much money in order to get rich, but you do need to follow certain rules. And one of those rules is getting clear on what is that total amount of wealth that you need to amass, because otherwise you're just aiming at a speed. And it's kind of like going on a road trip and saying, my goal is to go fast. That's a very dangerous road trip to be on. If somebody says, hey, we're going to go on a road trip, and you say, where are we going? And they say, we're going 100 miles an hour. Yeah, but where? I don't know, man, but we're going to go fast. Like, that's a really dangerous situation. So that's not a destination, to be clear. 100K a month is not a destination, it's a speed. So that's misunderstanding one. Number two is we need to have a reason as to why. For me, I like nice shit. That's okay. You can like nice shit too. We just have to accumulate this stuff responsibly and not be too attached to the stuff if we lose it, because we don't want to get caught in the trap of the stuff we own ends up owning us, right? So we got to do this responsibly, and we got to have very clear targets, and we got to have very clear goals and why we want that stuff. So I want to be able to provide a great life for my family. There's certain luxuries that we have that I want to continue to have, like we have a nanny. We live in a wonderful house. I have this really cool office that I built. We're able to travel. We're able to do pretty much whatever we want when we want, but I'm not to the place where I don't have to work ever again yet. But at the trajectory I'm on to accumulate 25 mil, it's going to be probably another 10 or 12 years-ish, depending on how fast we go. But at least I know, and I track everything in an app called Monarch, as well as an app called Teddy, which is our business KPI tracking system that we give all of our clients, that basically is like a map that allows you to know your numbers and knowing where to dig to essentially make your numbers go up and to the right all the time. And so what I shared with my new client yesterday is, right now, if you've been kind of stuck, you started on your destination because this place was really painful and you kind of got to like here, and then you just started like wandering and aimlessly driving around because it was better here, but you never really got out of this spot, mainly because we never actually defined where we wanted to go up here, right? And so if you haven't defined it and you're basically just kind of wandering around in this area, that is where you will stay if there's not a compelling reason to continue on out of that area. Does that make sense? Let me know if this is making some sense. All right, so we got to set specific goals, and then what we got to do is we got to link purpose plus values with our goals. And this is basically, we take our purpose and our goals and we just say, all right, how is achieving this goal going to help me accomplish that purpose? And there's a specific set of questioning that we have a tool in this process. The first step is obviously defining purpose. Second step is setting goals. The third step is linking all of them together. So like your top 5 biggest goals with your top 5 values, who you need to be in order to accomplish those goals, as well as your purpose. and we're coming up with 10 or 20 different very compelling answers as to how a specific goal attainment is going to help us achieve our values and fulfill our purpose. And when we do that, now we've kind of mentally linked them together. And that's really important, is because you can have a purpose of like helping humanity or whatever, but you have a goal that's really vague and ambiguous, and they're kind of disjointed and disconnected. So if you haven't mentally linked them together, it's not going to be compelling. So we have to link them, which is very, very important. So we got to link our purpose and our values with our goals. Then once they're linked, what we have to do is we have to chunk and plan. So what does that look like? To go back to our beautiful map right here, that looks like kind of like how you set directions on your GPS system. We define where we want to go, and then there's certain milestones. So I circled these for him yesterday. These blue dots are kind of like milestones, right? That we hit along the way. And so those would be chunks. And then between each of those chunks, we have smaller milestones, plans, and say we're going to get here by this date, we're going to here by this date. And if we just take this first turn and this first turn and this next turn, we're going to inevitably end up here, just like you do on your GPS system, turn by turn directions. And so we need to chunk those down into milestones and set a game plan to where we have what is the daily activity that's specifically going to help me get here. And we do it in a way to where they're all linked together. So your top main chunked goals in your life, in the different areas of your life, we're going to narrow it down to like 2, 3, or 4 daily habits. And then we're going to have a habit list of, if I know that I check off these boxes, I'm going to make progress. It's physically impossible not to. The final step here is, once we have that plan reverse engineered, now what we're going to do is have our daily habit tracker. And so there's things that we pre-populate for our clients because they're absolutely vital. One of those things being track finances. Another one of those being track business KPIs. Because if you don't know where you are or where you're going, you're just going to be kind of aimlessly wandering around. So we need to track finances. This is every day. First thing that I do is I look at my finances and I look at my KPIs and I see, where am I? It's kind of like if you're on a road trip, you wake up, first thing you do when you turn on your car is look at your GPS and figure out where the hell are you and how far do you have left to go. And based on your current speed, how long is it going to take you to get there? That's what instills confidence in getting towards that long-term vision, is if we know that we are here at a certain spot and our next checkpoint is here, then we can just start our journey and go, let's get here today, and then we'll stop, and then we'll get here tomorrow, and then we'll stop, and so on and so forth. And then before you know it, we have accomplished that next goal, that there is a trophy. You were an artist? Yeah, I was. Still am. It's beautiful, ain't it? All right, so I'm going to save this for a different video, but we have a process called the Bulletproof Mind system. And so the daily habit there is what we call clear a charge. And so as we're on this journey, there are things that could derail us. But if you can see here in between my scribbles, there was this little guy veering off course right here. And so this would be what we would call like a roadside distraction, something we, ooh, look at that, or oh no, that's going to jar me offline, right? Anything that bumps you off course. And the only things that can bump you off course are things that grab your attention that you would rather not have your attention, and then you decide to reactively make decisions to jar the wheel off course. And so these would be things like a client does something that is upsetting, or you lose money, or your family is, demanding more of your time. All of that steals your attention. And I walk through that in extreme depth inside of this book. I would highly recommend getting it. I know the guy who wrote it. It's really good. But we can't get pulled off, okay? And so in order to stay even keel, as Warren Buffett says, if you can't manage your emotions, you can't manage money. And if you can't manage your emotions, you probably shouldn't be the leader of the road trip. So we got to make sure that we're laser focused, that our mind is clear, that we can stay on course and look at things objectively. So we need a bulletproof mind where nothing can throw us off. And so we have our members go through a specific process each day to essentially clear any of the things that are essentially hijacking their focus. And more importantly, they clear the things that potentially could hijack their focus in the future so that they're prepared for if and when something is to come up in their life. They're like, I knew this was coming. Bring it, bitch. And it doesn't affect them, okay? So if we know where we are and where we're going and we have a clear mind, now there's just going to be main activities. So we'll say activity 1, activity 2, activity 3 that are going to be specific to your situation, right? We do those every single day. Well, then it's pretty much physically impossible to not make progress, right? And so going back to this roller coaster here, the game becomes really simple is because we're no longer motivated by pain or running away from something. We're now motivated by our grand vision, our creation. And so you will create to the degree that you're clear on your vision. So just as a reminder, 100K a month is not a vision. Okay, that might help you potentially get to the vision faster, but that's not a vision. Okay, we need to have an end destination. And so if you have an end destination and you're clear on why you want to go there and you've linked that to your real deep motivator, your values, your purpose, you will essentially be pulled towards this vision. And you won't have to push, hustle, and grind out of it anymore. So the reason that you're feeling like you have to push, hustle, and grind is because you've established a very vague target, which isn't a vision. It's 100K a month. It's a speed. And you feel like you should go fast because you're watching everybody around you go fast, right? You're watching the other people in the same programs as you, maybe blow past you or seem to blow past you. You think you should be going faster and you think you have the ability to, which you do have the ability to. You know you have the ability to do way more than you're currently doing. But the reason that right around here it feels like you're fighting and grinding is because you're comfortable. You're comfortable enough. And so we have to keep things interesting for ourselves. And if we haven't created a game for us to play that's a bigger game up on this higher wavelength up here, well, then we're just going to play smaller games because we're always playing games. It's just some people play big games and some people play small games. And you're going to either reactively play a small game down here, or you're going to causatively design and play a big game up here. And so if it feels like you're in reactive mode, it's because you're reactively playing a game that you didn't necessarily even design. So you got to take the time to design what is that vision, what is that game that you want to play, and then just reverse engineer it. And that's pretty much how you get stuff that you want in your life. So if you want to learn more about what we do, that process, all that stuff, you can DM me on Instagram, the word Bulletproof, and I will send you this document, and it just outlines kind of what it's like to work with us, if that sounds interesting to you. And I will let you know that we have just secured our location for our Q4 Mastermind on November 6th through 8th of this year. It's going to be pretty solid. Just to give you some context, I facilitate some very, very powerful mental and emotional resilience drills. You can't do it over Zoom. For context from this book, I worked with a guy for 2.5 years, 4 days a week, 6 hours a day to not only clear my own bullshit, but understand how to facilitate certain things that really changed my life. I went from never making more than 20 grand in a year to building 3 online businesses past 7 figures, selling one of them, becoming a multimillionaire. And, life's been pretty cool. So I like to facilitate these things in person. And our members right now currently average 153K a month. We got a number of people that are just absolute heavy hitters in there. We got Craig, who has 70 million in ad spend under his belt. Michael, who's built 2 multi-7-figure businesses. Roderick, who sold a $100 million custom home building business. He's doing 50K a month profit on 10 hours a week. Marco Jimenez, who has 2 7-figure businesses. Jason Milland, organic content whiz. He actually also just got on American Ninja Warrior for a second time, which is really cool. So shout out to Jason. And we've got my client Justin Saunders, who does a consistent 400K a month. He started with me a few years ago at 18K a month. He's recently become a liquid millionaire. And of course, we have my right-hand partner in crime, brother from another spiritual mother, Albie Sabani. He's taken over 500 online coaches through our Bulletproof Mind process to clear all the mental shit specifically. And he's also got a very, very successful film production company. Anyway, just had that initiation call, and I figured I would share with you what I shared with him because it's one of those things that we think we all have dialed in and we kind of take for granted a little bit. Like, oh yeah, I set goals. I have my purpose dialed in. That's like baby stuff, but nobody really has this dialed in very well at all. As simple as that sounds, a lot of times when you're trying to break past a plateau, we just got to get back to basics. So if you want to learn a little bit more about what that looks like to work with us, just DM me the word Bulletproof on Instagram, or you can just check out the next video that YouTube has lined up for you right here. Thanks for watching. Chat soon.